Pokemon Champions came out 2 months ago, and I was initially going to wait for the phone release since I thought it was only out on Switch 2. And then I was told a week ago that it was out on Switch 1. Pokemon Champions rides a weird line in terms of what it's meant to be as a game. On one hand, it's made competitive battling in VGC infinitely more accessible, and has the ability to introduce millions of Pokemon fans to the world of competitive battling. On the other hand, it's built up so many barriers to entry due to aggressively terrible mobile game slime that it's difficult to plainly say that it's a battle sim. This will be a guide/explanation of how I have fun with the game, while avoiding all the gacha game bullshit and the elo-centric rating system. And maybe if you follow along, you'll have fun too. Or maybe not, I don't know, everyone's different. Anyway, let's get into it. If you're a Pokemon fan, you're probably aware of the company's mobile endeavors that end up on Switch, and their general lack of quality, simple gameplay, and mobile game design. And going into Champions, I was concerned that the Pokemon Company would lead the game further in that direction. Pokemon Champions isn't exactly a gacha game, but it does follow the time-tested gacha game design of, let's have something fun and then put it behind a paywall. But not a true paywall, a paywall that lets you not waste all your time. It is grimy mobile game sludge that unfortunately coats a lot of the cool stuff in the game, and prevents it from being the official Pokemon battle simulator that it should be. The game centralizes around its primary currency, VP. VP is required for everything in this game: gathering Pokemon, training them, held items, character customization, everything. You gain VP by battling, gaining more VP if you win and less if you lose. And there is a battle pass that gives you a large amount of free VP near the end of its tiering structure, as well as tickets that bypass the need for VP. Have I said VP enough? Taking advantage of the battle pass, however, is still a huge time sink, with it taking me 15 hours over 2 days to complete it. So if you don't have the same amount of time to sink into this game, you won't be seeing that VP increase at all. Paying for the full battle pass gives you access to all the rewards instantly, including a few bonuses in the form of some extra Pokemon. And there is a membership that gives you access to things like more box space, team slots, and weekly missions for more VP. Training your Pokemon is super simple and accessible, and the game even collects data on the most popular movesets and EV spreads, but it costs at least 1,000 VP to fully customize a Pokemon from scratch, which is a lot. Items can be purchased from the shop for VP, with powerful items like Megastones costing 2,000 VP. Character customization is amazing here, but each clothing option and eye color costs in-game currency. And then things that were standard in previous games, like more box space and team slots, are locked behind an actual paywall. This game pisses me off because it's such an accessible entryway into competitive Pokemon, but its accessibility is locked behind in-game currency and sometimes actual currency. It's because of this that I believe if you're starting out with Champions, you can't approach it like it's a battle sim like Pokemon Showdown, because it's not. It's a mobile game. Showdown is perfect. It's got every Pokemon, super accessible training options, you can copy and paste good teams for yourself, and you can even have your avatar be Hatsune Miku. And while you can do all these things in Champions, it's, once again, coated in green disgusting mobile game slime. You can get to a point where you can treat it like a battle sim, once you have a team up and ready, but it's going to take you a while. A long while that can be cut down with a funny battle pass or a membership. You need to go into Champions with the knowledge that you will just be limited in your options. And while it's completely justified to be frustrated and turned away from the game because of these issues, I personally did not want to have that impede my enjoyment of the game. So I chose to take these limitations in stride, choosing to see them as a challenge rather than a roadblock. The main draw of Champions to me was that I would get to use my favorite Pokemon in a competitive nature in an official Pokemon game. As great as Showdown is, I've always felt that it doesn't capture the same feeling of actually owning a Pokemon. The pride that you feel when catching your own Pokemon and bringing it to battle isn't really there in Showdown, and while that's completely fine since that's not the point of the experience, I've always wanted that experience in an online format. So when Champions came along, I hoped it would be able to give me that experience. The ranch is objectively a bad thing. It limits the ability for players to get the Pokemon that they need for their team, while also sucking all the VP out of their wallets. But to me, I went into the game viewing the ranch as a challenge, to create the best team that I could with the garbage that it would give me. At the start, you get a choice between 10 different Pokemon. Each of these Pokemon comes with their own preset teams, and I recommend looking up each of the preset teams. The general trend is that the worse the starter Pokemon is, the better the subsequent Pokemon are, and vice versa. Pikachu is obviously bad, so to make up for it, he comes with killers like Kingambit, Gengar, and Garchomp. Sometimes nukes like Charizard come with Whimsicott and Gengar anyway, but just ignore that. While I did go into this just wanting to have fun, I knew that I would get rolled if I didn't at least put some consideration in my team building, so I looked around to find a team that would suit me best. I've been playing Pokemon since XY, so I have attachment issues to Mega Pokemon by default. I like weird Mega Pokemon, or just less common Mega Pokemon. I like low tiers, sue me, don't look at him. My favorite Mega is Mega Ampharos, who is unfortunately not in the starter pack, and to this day has not shown up in my ranch. But since I have this predisposition towards weird Megas, my eyes started to drift towards Altaria. Altaria comes with Kingambit, Arcanine, Heracross, Hawlucha, and Victreebel, which isn't a terrible lineup. Victreebel is trash, ignore him. Heracross and Hawlucha come with some pretty cool Megas. Arcanine is a solid Intimidator and Fire type, and Kingambit can destroy small countries. Altaria is one of my favorite Dragon types, and comes with a cool Mega that can throw out Pixelate Hyper Voices. Sure, they aren't the strongest Pixelate Hyper Voices, coming in 3rd place out of 3 Pixelate Hyper Voicers in the game right now, but it's still an upside. I've always wanted to use Mega Altaria, so I picked it. And the Altaria brain rot has not stopped ever since. After the ranch, I completed the rest of the tutorials and spent their VP to end up with this team. I got pretty lucky getting Sneasler and Incineroar purely by chance, and getting my GOAT and top 5 favorite Pokemon of all time, Hisuian Zoroark, as well. All that was left was training them accordingly and hopping onto rank. Oh my god, what the fuck? Allow me to gush about my team real quick. First off, I love Altaria so much. A lot of the meta in doubles right now is weather teams. Weather teams are very, very strong because Pokemon like Archaludon get huge boosts off of them. Tyranitar, Excadrill, classic combo. Mega Frostlass, one of the strongest new Megas to come out. And then Mega Charizard Y, the ubiquitous drought setter. So, my team, by default, is sort of basic. I don't run any weather, I barely run any speed control. I'm kind of just a sitting duck for these weather teams. That is, until I bring out Altaria. Altaria's ability is Cloud 9, which gets rid of all weather effects on the battlefield. So that means if my Altaria is just sitting there, the weather's gone. I don't have to deal with it anymore. What I end up doing a lot is I'll lead with 2 pretty strong attackers, but not a lot of weather control. Maybe Sneasler and Basculegion or something like that, with Altaria in the back. And then I'll switch out Sneasler or Basculegion for Altaria when they set up their weather, and then suddenly they don't get their defense boosts or extra powered moves or perfectly accurate hurricanes, and I can just dog walk them so easily. I love it, dude. I love it, I love it, I love it. Not to mention, you still have a nice Mega Pokemon in the back after you spend your Altaria. Mega Altaria is Dragon Fairy type, so what ends up happening is I'll get targeted by a Garchomp using Dragon Claw or something like that, and then I just turn into a Fairy type and eat it, and I throw out a Pixelate Hyper Voice that deals like 90% of its health. I can also run Tailwind if I want extra speed, I can run Cotton Guard if I want to be a weird defensive monster, I can run Roost to increase my longevity. Altaria is just so splashable onto all of my teams when I don't want to deal with weather. It's so fun. I love using Altaria. The little mini game between Mega Evolving it or just leaving it on the field is so fun to me, and it requires me to be really active with my decision making, and I love it so much. There's Hisuian Zoroark, who I also love. I've been a Zoroark fan forever, and I finally get to use one competitively. I run it with Icy Wind as a jump scare support move, Hyper Voice for the spread damage, Bitter Malice to wither down physical attackers, and Psychic to jump scare Sneasler. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I have gotten away with Zoroark shenanigans with this Pokemon. I will literally use Bitter Malice, revealing that I'm a Zoroark, and my opponent will just attack the disguised Pokemon anyway. I don't know. I don't think these people know how to read. Sneasler is just a solid physical attacker who can handle the meta fairy types and steel types. King Gambit is a monster in endgames and Basque Legion counter. Basque Legion is just a nuke. And then there's Incineroar. With this team and my limited VGC knowledge from Wolfie videos, I somehow ended up at Master Ball 2. It turns out that this team actually has some legs. It loses to some uncommon team styles and some meta Pokemon like Corviknight and Arcaludon, but apparently my opponents just see Zoroark on the screen and their brain short circuits. The sheer power of Sneasler, Basque Legion, Incineroar, and King Gambit are enough for me to fly by, and by adding in the chaos of Altaria and Zoroark, it gives me just the push I need to win games. I've D-ranked all the way to Master Ball 4, aka Dumpster Diving Central, by trying to run different teams, but that doesn't really bother me. So there's only one thing you can do in Champions: battle. So if you hate battling, I'm surprised you even made it this far into a Champions video. After making your way through the first 3 tiers, all of which have 4 sub-ranks inside of them, you reach Master Ball, which then works like a normal ELO system. I have a hate relationship with ranked systems, which I talked about a lot in this video from 2 years ago, and it's talked about much more cleanly in this video by Neon Massey. I think it takes away from the core experience of the game in favor of putting a focus on external factors that are generally less rewarding. This was also a major factor in determining my attitude towards Champions. I didn't want to care about an ELO spiral or about a rank. I just wanted to play and see what happened. One of the main things that I wanted to avoid was burnout. The mental burden of ranked systems has this habit of burning me out on the game faster than normal. So I did 2 things to try and prevent this: limiting the amount of battles that I play and staying out of a VP deficit. Since the only way to gain VP is by battling, if I wanted to prevent burnout, I would need to make sure I was never in a position to need VP. Staying above 5,000 gives you enough currency to access most parts of the game without ending up destitute. It gives you enough VP to recruit a Pokemon from the ranch, make pretty much any change to a Pokemon that you need, and buy any item that you need. So staying above this limit was very, very important to me. Rage queuing is another major contributor to my hatred of ranked battling. So I make active efforts to limit myself and stop when I stop having fun. You only need to do 1 battle to complete your dailies anyway, so I don't see a point in trying to push it if I don't feel like it. I did my best to stay out of VP deficits as much as possible for the same reason. Since if I don't have enough VP to get a Pokemon that I want out of the ranch, then I'm just going to end up wasting more and more time battling, and it's just not good. Something that I'm a bit worried about and don't really have an answer to is how I'll react when the game moves forward. I've never really kept up with the meta, and I'm not really interested in keeping a close eye on it. This game has the ability to really get away from me if things change too much, or if I need to change up everything about my team moving forward. If I end up with not enough VP to make the changes that I need to keep up with the game, or if the Pokemon that I like just don't end up working anymore, I will most likely fall out of this game, and there's nothing I can really do about it. This is the real deficit of the mobile game design, in my opinion. If you aren't fully invested in Pokemon, it is insanely easy to fall out of the game due to the limitations that it places on you. Hopefully I don't fall victim to that and just quit the game due to outside circumstances, but only time will tell. So now I've played Champions enough like this to get to the point where I can treat it like a battle simulator like it was meant to be, instead of a mobile game. And now I just make stupid teams with my favorite Pokemon and try to beat actual people online. It's sad that I have to avoid playing it from time to time to avoid the gacha game sludge and the ELO trench, but being able to make a Charizard X team and find any success with it makes it all worth it. I give Champions a solid thumbs up, at least until Altaria becomes worthless.